Hello, everyone. This is Dread here at Miss Valley Entertainment News. How are you? We're back with another video. We're covering more gaming industry news, and I swear, in all honesty, I really do feel that the gaming industry is heading for a reckoning. What does that mean? Does it mean the gaming industry is going to crash? I don't know. Does it mean it's going to reset? I don't know. But I just think because the gaming industry has become so politicized lately, so agenda driven, and so many people are up in arms about it, a reckoning has to come. And one group or the other, either the gaming industry or the gamers, is going to have to break and bend, or we're going to have to meet in the middle. One of the three. And I don't know what a reckoning looks like. I don't know what the outcome of that looks like. I don't know what the other side of that looks like. But I really feel like the gaming industry is due for a reckoning. And I'm not sure that's a good thing. I really don't know. Let's be honest. So today we're reacting to a video by Smash JT. I will warn you, trigger warning. Some people may not like to hear what JT is going to lay out and I'm going to react to. This is involving a charity. It is involving, well, we'll get into the whole thing, but let's just say some people may get triggered by this. If that's going to be you, don't watch. Obviously, don't watch. But I think this is a very fair look at what's going on. Lay out a little bit of background. It's everyone's favorite. No, not really. Not really at all. Games journalist. Journalist? Not really. No. Everyone's favorite social activist disguised as a games journalist, Alyssa Mercante, who works at Kotaku, the finest gaming organization. No, they're not. They're a complete and utter fucking joke. And she has contributed to that. Anyways, Alyssa loves nothing more than people to talk about her. So she's probably creaming her jeans about the fact, sorry, bad reference, I couldn't help it, about the fact that I'm even doing a video on her, although she doesn't know who the hell I am. I only know who she is because she won't stop plastering her face or her stupid, idiotic words all over everything, all over the internet. You don't know who she is an activist, plain and simple. And she is a confrontational activist who's got a job as a games journalist and uses every opportunity to push any kind of agenda she feels like and to go along with her narcissistic impulses and raise herself up to the level of I'm a god because look at me, I have all these social justice issues and things I stand out for and speak up for, and anybody who disagrees with me is so evil, so I'm going to make fun of them and pick at them. That's exactly what she does. You've heard of the nose ring mafia. She seems to be one of the leaders of it. Anyways, Alyssa made the mistake, and it was a mistake, of going on a live stream of some of the people that she doesn't like, just to chime in and say, look at all the money I raised for this great charity, and then make fun of the people there. Which then made those people turn around and investigate the charity that she had just worked for, to doing all her own live stream to raise money for. And that's what Smash JT is going to get into. She opened up her own can of worms, and the can has more than a few corpses in it. And this charity is not above board. It smells like rotten fish, and you're going to discover that as you watch this video. Let's get into my reaction to Smash JT's video on this, called Alyssa Mercante's Trans Lifeline Charity is Worse Than We Thought. ... Let's go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Holy crap. The other day I made a video talking about how Alyssa Mercante came and crashed Hypnotic's Saturday Night Hypnosis stream, trying to brag about how she raised $20,000 for this charity called the Trans Lifeline charity. And in covering that initially, it was more just like scratching the surface of what I found to be an unending rabbit hole that no matter how much research I did, I kept finding more information about how horrific this charity really is.
That's not a good thing. Again, I just lay it out there really quickly. If you think that because I'm doing this reaction to this video about a trans charity and finding it in a negative light, if you think that means I'm a transphobe, go fuck yourselves. You do not know me. You do not know my life. You do not know the people in my life. Fuck off.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article that is exhaustive, at least as exhaustive as I could have made it in this sitting, because like I said, this rabbit hole goes deep. From Kiwi Farms investigations to embezzlements of misappropriated funds, it ended up being one of the biggest icebergs of hidden criminal activity in a charity that I've ever witnessed. Wow. And this is coming from a guy who covered the Gerard the Completionist saga in depth. And I found this one, I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I genuinely hope that there's some good in this world, like the St. Jude's out there and the other American Red Cross. Hopefully, I don't know, like at this point, the more information that I get from researching charities, I feel like every single one of them has a lot of skeletons.
Good time to jump in and point my opinion on charities. If you're going to go give to a charity, and I've given to charity several times. Most of my charity giving is, in the lineup at the supermarket, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to donate $5 to, feed the children or this or that?" And if I got the money and I feel like that's a good charity, I will do that. As far as larger donations, I've made several in my lifetime. I have never asked for a tax receipt for them. Never. I've never declared them on my taxes in order to get some kind of pat on the back from the government. And no, to me, that's not what charity is about. If you're giving to a charity, it's because you support the charity, support what the charity is doing, and that's it. You're not looking for a tax receipt. That's my opinion. But what I'm saying is, anytime I've given larger amounts to charities, always do as much research on the charity as you can. And go look for the negative dirt, because you'll find some on every charity. Make sure you read through it and compare to what you know what the charity and what the good things are, and figure out, is this worth my time giving to? Because I almost guarantee it, 99.999% of charities pay their boards a lot of fucking money. And these people are getting well paid, and that money is coming out of your donation, not going to where you intended to go. It's going to pay the people running the charity. And then you get into other things where other expenses of money, and you need to figure out what percentage of what you're giving actually goes to where you want it to get to. Your own research.
Skeletons in the closet. Let's travel back to 2018, the beginning of the debacle with this charity, where they had to come out with a statement because the co-founders of the charity were caught embezzling and misappropriating funds.
Oops, the people who started the charity were caught embezzling. Criminals.
That is just the tip of the iceberg, the beginning to all of this. And they want you to think it's to help benefit trans lives, coming from the co-founders of this company that straight up took money, misappropriated it, and did not spend it in the best way possible. They didn't talk to the board about it. They didn't get approval for it. They just straight up took the money. There's a whole long email here that I could go through, but if I read through every word of everything, this would be a 3-hour long video. Let me just pick out the most important, crucial part of it, where they stated, earlier this year, the board launched an investigation into the financial transactions of Nina and Greta and concluded, with the advice of legal and financial professionals, that there had been significant spending.
Not just spending, significant spending
of trans lifeline funds outside the scope of the current budget.
Wow.
Much of this spending was on an unauthorized project neither approved by the board nor made clear to donors.
They're doing their own thing with the money. Sounds like they're putting money into their own business venture or something that should have gone to help, in this case, trans people.
Which Greta and Nina sincerely believed was for the good of the trans community. Unfortunately, their unauthorized
that's why they didn't go through the board or tell anybody about it.
Project ran afoul of Trans Lifeline's obligations to the 501c3 tax laws. Oh, but it's okay because we felt like it was the betterment of the trans people. We
trust
wanted to
us.
live it.
Trust us with your money. Just trust us. We don't need to show receipts or tell you what we're doing. Just trust us. Because that always works.
A lavish lifestyle, as you could see on their Instagrams back then from doing some research, that these people were not spending the funding that was coming in to supposedly assist what trans people were living through in crisis, which was...
So, yeah, their Instagram said stuff at the time showed them to be living an extravagant lifestyle. Wonder how that was funded. Huh.
Was the whole point of this charity in the first place. But then it got me looking into the financial mismanagement of this charity with Nina and Greta. They were involved in unauthorized spending of the funding that was coming in back in 2018. This is not anything new. It's actually like what this charity was founded upon was embezzling and stealing funding. Okay, wow. Let's get that straight. And this charity is still around. And finding this out, I'm like, oh, that explains, like in my previous video, I'm like, oh, these original people were there, but now it seems like they have a complete board refresh. That explains why they had a complete overhaul, why they changed everyone there. Because these people had to be kicked out. They were literally stealing money from their charity. It was so bad that they had to make a public statement about the illegal usage of funds and fired the founders. And that is just the beginning of this rabbit hole. Now,
yeah, that's not even all of it. That's just the beginning of the story on this charity.
Now I want to talk a little bit about Kiwi Farms. And I know right away you say Kiwi Farms and people are like, oh, nope, turn it off. I can't. Nope, Kiwi Farms, bad. They're bad people. They're awful, bigoted, horrible. It's harassers. Here's the thing. That might actually be true for certain individuals on certain websites. But what I found out about the Kiwi Farms investigation about this corporation really exposed what's going on when it comes to institutionalized censorship. Kiwi Farms described in detail the tactics that were used with the Drop Kiwi Farms hashtag, experienced from the inside. Say what you want about Kiwi Farms, but when a corporate agenda is actively trying to hide behind being anti-trans as a way to silence, remove, and ultimately shut down your website, I have some serious issues with that. Coming from someone who had people trying to shut down their website, I don't like that. I feel like if people have a platform, they should be able to use it to say what they want to say, and the audience can take what they want out of it and either trust the person or not. But they don't need a third party coming in saying, oh, we don't want you. We're going to remove your website and remove the ability to have people decide what they want based off of what you're saying.
It's called free speech, isn't it? I sure thought it was. I remember when we used to have that. That was nice.
According to the Kiwi Farms investigation, Trans Lifeline was operated by Greta and Nina. The organizers would post extravagant lifestyle photos on their public Instagrams. Meanwhile, the Trans Lifeline hotline service rarely had anyone online to accept emergency calls.
The Trans Lifeline hotline service, which is what they do, they run a hotline, rarely had anyone online to accept emergency calls. Okay, so I don't know what they call emergency calls, but emergency calls should be, any calls to this lifeline should be emergency calls, right? Really, they rarely had anybody available to do the job, the full job that the charity does.
This led Kiwi Farms users to suspect they were stealing from their charity, so we began documenting both their lifestyle and their hotline's performance. or lack thereof. Documents leaked to us by people who had worked with them showed that there was almost no organization, no internal support structure, and no training. Transgender people recruited by TLL to be call agents would then be put on lines to deal with the immediately at-risk unaliving transgender people with scant information on how to actually help.
Are you fucking kidding me? So people are calling into this lifeline, potentially thinking about ending themselves. Because we know the statistics in the trans community. That's a higher than average statistic. We know that. That's just truth. There's no misrepresenting that in any way, shape, or form. That's truth. These people have issues. And do I agree that the issues, as some say, are all about how the stigma and the people, calling them names? I think that probably plays into it somewhat, but I think the issues are, because let's be honest, when you believe that you're something you're not and base your whole life around that and want to change all society to call you what you are and see you as what you say you are, even though you're clearly biologically, scientifically, naturally not. Right? I'm just saying. People are calling with issues that are very, very important to them. I'm not making fun of these people, okay? These people have real issues. They're calling this hotline because this is a charity for them. And the people who are there, if they can actually get somebody on the phone, are volunteers with no training. No training. Honest to God, people who started this organization, if that's the case, I don't know if it's still like that or not, should be immediately put into jail and the key thrown away. You're showing you don't care about anybody but yourself. Rant over.
Them. Some callers reported being hung up on. Operators reported trauma from having to answer life or death phone calls without any idea of what to do or say.
Oh
These
God.
people were hired by this charity
for free. Hey, let's hire some trans people who want to do good for other trans people, but let's not give them any kind of help or support or money. And let's go off and live a lavish lifestyle and spend all the money on other things until we get caught.
To deal with severe life or death phone calls.
Amazing.
And they were, get this, volunteers. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But yikes. Years later, and thanks to the information made available only on the Kiwi farms, they would be ousted from the organization for fraud. Trans Lifelines operators would later file under penalty of perjury that Greta and Nina had inured hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wow. This would begin the long trend of transgender activists saying, ignore the bad things on Kiwi farms. They're made up. With the punchline being that we'd end up proven right over time and with damage done that could only be mitigated if we were trusted sooner.
I wonder how many people lost their lives, literally lost their lives, because they trusted in this trans charity and this trans lifeline to help them. And this lifeline and this charity were not interested in helping them all. Now, mind you, the people on the other end of the phone may have legitimately been interested. They volunteered their time. They probably were legitimately interested in helping others. But it makes you wonder, with no training, with all the money in the organization being funneled out of the organization illegally, how many people actually lost lives because of this? This is sick. Like, this is seriously sick. This kind of stuff makes me angry.
So it's stuff like this where I'm like, yeah, before I even investigated or looked at or even knew about Kiwi Farms, even me, I had a mentality of like, oh, that's bad, I don't want to trust or look at, that's just awful, horrible, the despicable scum of the earth, human beings on that website. And I don't mean this to come across as like a defense for Kiwi Farms,
I don't know
but
who
it
they
just
are,
makes me want
honestly.
to think about other stuff in a different light, with a new perspective of like, okay, maybe what I hear from sources, you know, the institutions telling us what to think, might not be the best approach. We should probably be thinking for ourselves. But back to the specifics
True.
listed on the Trans Lifeline website, which honestly is incriminating enough on its own. If you just look at the website for what it is and what they say, I'm like, how could anyone even give money to this fraudulent organization? It's borderline, if not more than borderline, it like literally comes across to me as a criminal organization. Trans Lifeline supports initiatives include paying bail and providing legal assistance to trans individuals, even if they've been found guilty of crimes.
They use their money to bail criminals out of jail just because they're trans. Are they a bail bonds company? Are they listed as a bail bonds company? Is a charity allowed to do that? I don't know. Probably they are, but it seems a little sus. Keep listening because Smash JT gets into this pretty deep, and it's some interesting stuff. Interesting things to think about.
Under their criminalization policy, their approach is rooted in the belief that the legal system is biased against trans people. So they don't trust the police. They don't trust the legality systems. They feel like everyone's out to get them. They were the
Victim mentality. So this charity supports a victim mentality of, well, everyone's out to get you. Everyone else is wrong and you're right. You're innocent of anything they say. Doesn't matter what it is. We'll support you. Doesn't matter. If somebody points a finger at you, they're automatically wrong because you're trans and they're just bigots. What a sad, sad, sad way to think in life. And it's not just this charity, and it's not just the trans community thinking, possibly this way. It's this kind of thinking is all over the place. And it completely blows my effing mind. What a way to completely destroy your own life. To see yourself as nothing but a victim. And blame everyone else. You will have the saddest life possible.
The constant victim, and anyone who's done anything as a trans person and put in prison for it should instantly be jumped out of prison, bounced, sprung, get him out of there because the system got him down. This organization has paid over $500,000. Okay, $500,000 towards criminals, people who have been convicted and put in prison. They have tried to get out of prison. Why? Because they identify as trans. This is the organization that the video game industry is like championing as like the best thing, the charity that is a good thing that we should be giving money to. The money that's been embezzled and stolen from the founders to now what the money they do have that isn't is going towards getting criminals out of jail because the system is rigged. What? By supporting the Trans Lifeline, donors are actively contributing to the efforts to release trans individuals from prison, regardless of their criminal convictions, suggesting that the world is inherently just unjust towards trans people, and that helping them navigate or avoid consequences of the legal system is a way to combat systematic discrimination, because it always comes back to, oh, I'm being discriminated against because I'm trans, and I have to murder someone, but I'm trans and the system is just getting me down, but I killed somebody, but it's okay because I'm trans and the system is just really discriminatory towards me.
And let's be honest, this happens. Trans people do kill people. They're human beings. They commit the same crimes as others do. But let's not think somehow that they don't. But yeah, the attitude of, oh, if you're in jail and you've been accused of something, it's because the system, the judges, the law system, the lawyers, the police, the community society is all out to get you because you're trans. It makes my head hurt that people are so effing stupid. What a way to absolutely destroy your own life. Never take fault for anything, blame everybody else, always play the victim card. Good luck with that. You will have a miserable effing life. And I'm not angry. I'm very, very saddened that this has taken hold in our society because it is destroying people.
Hypnotic covered it on the Saturday Night Hypnosis. In addition to assisting criminals break free, they also assist in name changes and alternate IDs to assist people in hiding. Like, yikes, times 2.
Alternate IDs. Alternate IDs, like when you can't get an ID that you want, we'll get you an alternate ID. What does that mean? Some of you are going to be like, "Oh, it just means they have alternate ways of getting you the ID you want." Or is it meaning we're going to get you ID that's illegal or ID that's not really in your name that you can use to pretend to be someone else so that they can't find you? Or just, like criminals. Hey, we got you out of jail. We spent $400,000 to get you out of jail after you mass murdered all those people. Hey, can we get you some alternate ID so that you can never be found again and never be tracked and never be put back in jail for anything else you might do because you're trans? Are you getting the idea of my frustration with charities like this? With segments of society like this, with people who have these kind of beliefs. And again, I'm not talking about people who believe they're a different sex than they were born. I'm not talking about trans people. I'm talking about this whole victim mentality and this whole cover up and whitewash of everything. Frustrated because I have compassion for people. This is not helping people. This is not helping people. This is not helping people. This is helping yourself to money, helping to boost yourself up by, oh, look at me, look at the things I'm doing for others, when the things you're doing for them are shit and are ruining their lives. You don't care.
All this money is going to Trans Lifeline. Let's see. Trans Lifeline advocates on behalf of trans people and works to build a resilient trans community. Well, they're not very resilient. You guys are actually pretty damn not resilient. The statistics show that you are 70% some odd not resilient at all.
But again, Hypno, that is a good thing because that means that $20,000 is going to go a lot further.
That's true. There's very few trans people that make it to use the money.
Wow.
Provided and coordinated by trans peers. Shocker. The hotline is there to provide peer support to trans people who need it. The micro grant program provides low barrier grants to trans people in need of legal name changes and updated IDs, as well as specialized support for trans people who are incarcerated or detained. So this is all going to money to people who are trying to hide themselves or criminals.
Then we get to the non-consensual hospitalization and medical discrimination.
It's a little bit, they've taken a stance on that I could see where you could say, well, that's not necessarily what it means, or that's not necessarily 100% true. And I would agree with that. But anyways.
Or criminals.
Then we get to the non-consensual hospitalization and medical discrimination, where they talk about how the organization takes a stance that trans people are facing discrimination. It's always discrimination, by the way, because God forbid, a trans person is accountable. Isn't it interesting, by the way? Quick sidebar. How there's this whole lack of accountability when it comes to activists. They always want to oppress other people and not be accountable for their own actions. And this all circles back to Alyssa Mercante, who could not be accountable for her actions of reaching out to my wife and apologizing for doing that. She was lacking any accountability whatsoever. And digging through this rabbit hole further, I see it's like a mental block that people like her have, where they are just unable to be accountable no matter how in the wrong they are. But anyways, back to their non-consensual hospitalization. The organization takes a stance that trans people are facing discrimination in medical settings, lacking access to appropriate gender-affirming care, because they need to have the access to gender-affirming care. The money that people are donating to this charity goes towards sponsoring gender affirmation, even if these people are likely to commit unaliving after doing that. In fact, some could argue that this charity is providing the exact opposite of support.
A little bit harsh, but I don't necessarily disagree with them either. And I will say, if you look at the statistics, I don't have them in front of me. The unaliving rate, to put it the nice way, we really need to. YouTube needs to stop disallowing us to say the S word. Really, it's not helpful. YouTube, it's actually not helpful to just ban people from saying it. But anyways, if you look at the unaliving rates, right, people who cease to exist themselves in the trans community, it does not go down significantly after they've had any kind of operations or any kind of therapy, hormone therapy, or anything else to become or look or appear more to be what they feel they actually are. It doesn't actually have any significant help to them in keeping them alive. Think about that. Think about it. Maybe that's because that's not the solution for what ails them. Maybe someone who actually had compassion for people could arrive at that conclusion. I can very easily. Probably you can as well. So how come governments and social organizations and social media organizations continue to push that this is the way for things to go? I don't want a conspiracy theory, but I'm going to ask you, why do they continue to push for that? And I'm going to suggest to you, it's because they don't actually care about trans people. They don't have any compassion for them. They don't effing care. And that's sad. Because as many issues as I have with various segmented sections of society, of which the trans people are one. I don't like the way that labeling ourselves often divides us instead of drawing us together. I don't like the victimhood. I don't like so many things, okay? But in spite of that, I don't dislike trans people. Trans people are people, and each of them have to be taken as individuals. Some of them are lovely people. Some of them are not. Just like anybody else. But I have compassion for these people because I do have some understanding based upon my personal background that I'm not sharing and my family background and whatever else. I have some understanding of what these people are actually going through. And it starts and ends up here. It really does. I feel bad for these people. I really feel bad for them. And I feel worse about the way they are being ground down and used and abused by politicians, by social justice warriors, by social media companies. Nobody actually cares about them. That's seriously, if you knew my background, you'd understand, but let's move on.
Trans Lifeline avoids at all costs involving any emergency services in crisis. You know, the professionals that are prepared and trained to deal and handle with this stuff. Nope, we can't deal with the professional emergency services because we don't trust them. We don't like our legal system. We don't trust that. We don't like the police. The police are bad, so we don't trust them. Like, they don't trust anyone
Because they've been told not to by the people who just want to use and abuse them and make money off them.
that holds them accountable. Using back alley, unethical, and aggressive approaches, they push gender affirmation, ruining the lives of potentially psychologically ill individuals. They push against institutionalization for people in dire need of mental institutions. All for what? Because they identify as a trans person. Even if, by the way, there are trans people out there that I've conversed with that I feel like are fine. Like, they're not completely off their rockers. They're just identifying as trans. But what if, I know crazy talk here, but what if there's a trans person that is insane? Like, you can't have both. Like, if you're trans, you just, by definition, you are completely sane and normal.
Oh no, that's totally like transphobic to say that. Which is stupid, because if someone's insane, they're insane. It doesn't matter if they're Jewish, if they're black, it doesn't matter if they're Asian, it doesn't matter if they're 10 years old, 30 years old, 100 years old. It doesn't matter if they're poor or rich. It doesn't matter if they're trans, gay, bi, or straight. If they're crazy, they're crazy. And they need help. But this victimhood thing will keep them from getting that help so other people can continue to use and abuse them. You get the feeling I'm passionate about this? Because I fucking am.
Well, according to Trans Lifeline, yeah. And it goes on and on about economic oppression and how there's zero accountability for trans people. And they go into racism and trans people of color due to factors of unemployment, lack of housing, and healthcare access. Here's the thing. Like, if you are looking for a professional job, you need to be professional.
Good example. If you're, a 6'6" male, all right, you've got an X and Y chromosome, right? You show up for a job as a bank teller, and in your uniform, you're wearing a dress. You're wearing garish makeup all over your face. You've got bright purple hair and a big nose ring. Are you getting hired? Are you representing the bank? Maybe some banks from affirmative action and DEI stuff will still hire you. But I'm going to suggest that's probably not what they want to have representing them and not have any control of. The bank will be like, hey, so our tellers need to dress this way and behave this way. But DEI kind of stuff, affirmative action kind of stuff will tell you, no, you need more gay people, you need more trans people, you need more this, that, you need more Asians, you need more blacks. Okay, it doesn't matter what they do wrong, just hire them. Can't get rid of them, because otherwise we step under our quota and we get in trouble with the government. Right? And I'm not saying like any of these people are less than white people. Ain't saying that, so don't read that into it. Just as many white people could be there and show up and be like, big long beard, dirty, fucking haven't showered, they're living on the streets. You're not going to hire them as a bank teller either. Get what I'm saying here. But the bank now has no way to control who they hire because of government policies. That's just getting off on a tangent, but yeah, I hate this shit.
Like, it's not about you. I know the world is trying to turn itself into, accept me for who I am because me and I matter because how I identify. Yeah. If I'm hiring someone for a company, I'm hiring them because of the shit they do and how good they are at doing it. Not, they identify as a flower today. A rose petal. You want to be called professor? That whole thing where if you don't address people how they demand to be addressed, then you're not living in their fantasy world and then you're the one in the wrong and then they try to get you fired. That whole rabbit hole they're trying to go down. This is all perpetuated by charities that push this kind of propaganda. Trans Lifeline goes into talking about how the interconnectedness of racism, transphobia, and other forms of discrimination occur. They prioritize racial
and I'm sure they do occur. Obviously, they do occur. But these people are using this as a way to divide and to isolate the trans people so they can use them and abuse them.
equality and reparations to address systematic injustices affecting BIPOC trans individuals, advocating for structural solutions like abolishing police and incarceration, which, ironically, is racist. They don't want police. They want to abolish the police. They don't want incarceration. They don't want any jail cells. They want it to be like Gotham City after the Joker lets out the asylum.
Crazy.
That's the world that these people
crazy.
are actively trying to perpetuate. And anything else they try to tell you is a straight up lie. And none of this even gets into the horrifically racist and discriminatory hiring practices where they require 50% BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, which itself is inherently racist. If you're trying to check off checkboxes for who you're hiring, that means you can't hire someone that is qualified for the position if you've already met your quota on white people. And they don't even hire anyone that's not trans, by the way. You have to identify as trans to work there.
Even though that makes total sense, is that not still wrong? If you're a non-trans person and you applied there, why would you apply there? There's not even a paid position. But if you applied there and got turned down and you said, hey, but I've worked for charities before, I've worked for Lifelines, I've worked in unaliving prevention, I've got years of experience of this and they didn't hire me, could you not turn around and, I mean, I don't know why you would want to sue a charity for that, but could you not turn around and sue that charity? And have every right to do so because their hiring policies? Honestly, could you not? As much as it makes sense for a trans lifeline charity to hire only trans people, and that makes sense, is that not racist in itself, though? Or sexist, or whateverist. Kind of sort of is. It's a crazy friggin' world we live in, people.
Even if you're not qualified to handle crisis situations, as long as you're trans, you can get hired there. You should probably be Black or Indigenous. Don't be white, because there's no room for you in a place like this. Oh, and the real kicker? They don't pay any of their hotline workers and only answer calls.
The executives are making six figures. Charity spends more than it brings in, but they also don't pay any of their hotline workers, and they only answer calls Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have office hours. Not even great ones. I mean, 10 a.m. is kind of late. Their hotline workers only answer calls 40 hours a week. Their hotline workers don't make any money. Their executives make six figures, and the charity spends more than it brings in. And by the way, the people who started the charity did some massive embezzling. Had to get kicked out of the charity. Probably are still paying that money back that they were spending on themselves. And then you go through all the other stuff he's brought up. Wow.
Calls Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So God forbid you have an actual crisis in your life and you need to call this Trans Lifeline charity hotline.
You're like, oh no, it's
say,
8 a.m.
Hey, I'm thinking of unaliving. Someone help. Hello, your call is very important to us. Please wait 12 hours. And hopefully someone will be with you that's most likely not qualified to even have this phone call in the first place. Overall, after looking further into this charity, it is overwhelmingly clear to me that people supporting it either didn't do any research, like whatsoever, zero research. They were just, this is going along with the crowd, being one of the NPCs that's like, oh, it's a charity. It's a good thing. We should give money to it. Let's not question, investigate, or research anything about it, because if we do, by definition of these people, we are now the bigots. We can't research any of it. We can't do our due diligence because that is inherently bigot, racist, homophobic, transphobic,
that's how they see it. Yep.
Just don't question. Just give us money. Or the other reason, which is even worse, supporting the criminal actions of this agenda while hiding behind the veil of a charity. by springing criminals from prison just because they identify as being trans is so abhorrently insane to me that there are no words for it. And the fact that someone like Alyssa Mercante is trying to champion this like it's a good thing tells you all you need to know about someone like her and her journalism. This right here is straight up proof that she has always been an activist, hiding behind the veil of journalism, using video games as an insidious virus way of inserting herself into a situation and trying to spread it to other people.
And I would just point out, I think there's a bunch of people in the video game industry, both working for video game companies and working as video game journalists, who are first and foremost activists. And that's why I believe that there is a reckoning coming to the video game industry. Plain and simple. They've hired people who are not instead of their main focus being putting out great games or giving fair reviews or whatever else, their main focus instead is something else entirely. And yeah, there's a reckoning coming. There has to be a reckoning coming to this industry. It may absolutely collapse it at some point. I really don't know.
And this, seeing the people react in the video game industry the way they are, perpetuating this madness, is proving that what she is doing is working. But it's also why I make these videos. It's a way to fight back, bring some rationalization back to humanity, bring some level of normalcy and understanding and accountability to everyone. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, holy crap, this was one hell of a deep dive. And again, especially with the Kiwi Farm stuff, it doesn't even scratch the surface of just how insidiously, insanely crazy this charity really is. If you want more information, check out smashjt.com. I have links for all.
All right, so thank you to Smash JT for his video. It will be linked down below if you just want to watch it without my my commentary. You can go through it again. It's very good stuff, Smash JT. I do really appreciate it. It's obviously a tough topic to get into. It's obviously a triggering topic to get into for some people. It's probably going to get me some hate comments just for covering this, but sometimes you got to shine a light on things that don't want the light shone on it, right? And little things scurry off into the darkness when you bring the light on, because there's some things going on here that are very, very, very wrong. I do not want you to look at them. They do not want you to look at them. And that is all the more reason to look sometimes. People, I've said my deal on this. I don't know what else I can say. Yeah, my heart goes out to the people in the trans community. It honest to God, it does. I would not wish your lives on my worst enemy. You know, you have tough lives. You have a lot of stuff going on in your head that the average person does not have, and a lot of shit to deal with, obviously. And my heart goes out to you. But these kind of charities are just predators, and they're not there to help you. They're there to separate you and pick you off. And that's just not right. That's just not right. Everybody, that's my coverage of this from Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name is Dread. Drop down below and let me know what you think. I'm not interested in getting in, pointless arguments over things, but I'm interested in hearing what you got to think on this. So, hey, have a good one, everybody.